Good morning. Something a little different today. I'd like to tell you about 3 recent tenor sax reissues that should definitely be on your radar. 3 records with players hitherto unknown to me before receiving the records for review. My father was a professional jazz tenor player for many years. As such, I was brought up on his hero, Stan Getz. For us, it was Getz, Getz, and more Getz. Not that I'm complaining, he's still my favorite tenor player, although I'll be exploring a lot more from the 3 up for discussion today. As I'm more admirer than fan of Sonny Rollins, he wouldn't figure into my tenor madness. And though Coltrane is a giant to me, and I've got Ole on the way, no Coltrane for a change. I just finished a review of the incredible new Impex Getz Gilberto. I'll link all my reviews below, but no Stan either. My tenor madness this winter-spring begins and ends with Joe Henderson, Booker Ervin, and Harold Land. Specifically, Joe Henderson's Power to the People, originally released on Milestone in 1969 and reissued this year by Jazz Dispensary. Followed by Booker Ervin's textbook tenor. The Van Gelder Blue Note is from 1968, but did not get its first mainstream release till 2005 on CD. This new vinyl reissue on Blue Note's Tone Poet series is from 2024. And finally, Harold Land's The Fox, released by Contemporary in 1960 and reissued by Craft Recordings on Acoustic Sounds Contemporary series that's coming April 9th. I was sent advance copies for our readers of the Henderson and Land albums, but I purchased the Booker Ervin record. So let's get to the good stuff. So let's begin with this first one, Joe Henderson, Power to the People. In a slightly different location today to talk about jazz. It's a beautiful, beautiful day today. Got the ND filter on, so the glare shouldn't be too bad. And I actually took the covers off, so it should be too much glare. This is the absolutely beautiful recut by Kevin Gray for Jazz Dispensary. A wonderful presentation in the gatefold with photographs. I have Jack DeJohnette on drums, Herbie Hancock on piano and Fender Rhodes. There's the great Joe Henderson. What a tenor player. Absolutely unbelievable. And again, as I said, new to me. There's Ron Carter on bass and electric bass. And Mike Lawrence, young Mike Lawrence, unfortunately died of cancer when he was 32 years old. Another sad story in jazz, but a very fine player. He's only on a couple of charts. What have we got here? The Black Narcissus begins. Now, I guess all 3 of these tenor players we're going to talk today are post-bop, hard bop, but they do mention one other thing for Joe Henderson, soul jazz. I'm not sure what it is, but once you start hearing him play with this very kind of limpid, beautiful, not always blaring tone, it's very soulful. And especially on the opening chart, Black Narcissus, which Joe Henderson composed. When he gets to Power of the People on side 2, he lets it all out a little bit, gets a little bit wild. But like all great musicians, they surround themselves with excellence. So the sidemen here are just knockout. Whether Herbie's playing piano or electric piano, or Ron Carter's on bass or electric bass, Jack DeJohnette is just a monster drummer, as we all know. There's Joe on the back looking very cool with his cigarette. This was originally produced by Oren Keepnews and recorded at Plaza Sound Studios in New York City in 1969. The recording engineer was George Sawtell. You can see the gorgeous, accurate label. Very nice presentation. Very nicely done by Jazz Dispensary. It's my first Jazz Dispensary LP, and it was wonderful. What's especially wonderful about Joe Henderson, other than his very beautiful sound, flawless intonation, is his and his compositions, is his improvisation. It's always seems so heartfelt and focused on the style with which he's trying to portray the song. It's just a wonderful, wonderful album. And Jack DeJohnette, some of his drumming is just amazing on this. As far as the recording is concerned, the recut by Kevin Gray. Kevin Gray knows how to do drums really, really well, and it's the same on this one. But all the people beautifully recorded. It's pretty left-right, as most jazz albums are. People talk about, oh, there's center fill, but it kind of comes over from the bass and the drums and a little bit from the piano. But nothing to be upset about. Just a lovely, lovely sound. Dynamic. And when Joe goes a little bit wild, boy, it really comes through the speakers. But most of the time, it's his sound. It's beautiful and relaxed and just gets right to the heart of the matter. Very highly recommended. It's a great record. One of my favorites this year. Another record, not Stan Getz, not John Coltrane, not Sonny Rollins, is Booker Ervin. I heard this briefly on one of the videos talking about the tone poets up for the year, and I thought, wow, he's really interesting. He's got a great sound. This is a wonderful album, again by Kevin Gray, recut by Kevin Gray, with Billy Higgins on drums, and the drums sound great. Jan Arnett is a bass player new to me, very good. The wonderful Kenny Barron on piano, of course, and Woody Shaw. What a player, my God. I remember in Montreal a long time ago, going running with my great friend Steve Dubinsky, one of the greatest trumpet players in Montreal. And I said to Steve, who are your trumpet heroes? He's a jazzer, not a classical guy. And he said, oh, easy, Satchmo and Woody Shaw. I said, Woody who? What a player, unreal. Of course, Woody Shaw is having his Indian summer now, and every record that's being reissued, that's him, when he's on it, gets raves because his playing is so incredible. Anyway, this is called Textbook Tenor, and it is textbook playing by Booker Ervin. This is originally a Blue Note. Now it's on the Tone Poets series, and once again, he surrounds himself with excellence. One modal piece, Gishi, by Kenny Barron, which is nice. Then it just takes off like a rocket ship on Dentek's Booker Ervin's chart. Lynn's tune gets a lot slower. Then 204 ends the set with lots of energy. I think Booker Ervin played originally with Mingus for a while. Original recorded by Rudy Van Gelder in 1968. And this, of course, has been reissued under the supervision of Joe Harley. And LP mastering by Kevin Gray at Coherent. Superb, energetic, with brilliant solos and fantastic driving sounds from both Booker and Woody Shaw. And of course, there's no slouch in Kenny Barron. My first Booker Ervin. I think this was his final solo album back in 1968. But I got this. This was not sent to me by Blue Note. I actually purchased this because I was intrigued. Got it from Amazon. I think it was like $59 Canadian. So you might get, it's probably about $40 US. Just go buy it. It's fantastic. And there's the center label. Beautifully produced as usual from Tone Poet. Gorgeous. And the third one today is Harold Land, The Fox. Released on Contemporary way back in 1969, but it was originally recorded in 1960 at Radio Recorders in LA. Actually recorded August 1959, but released in 1960. And this is a Bernie Grunman recut, releasing, the street date is April the 9th. My review is going about Audiophilia probably a day or two before that, and so is this video. This is a magnificent album. Harold Land, he's getting a lot of play now because the reissues are so good. And once again, surrounds himself with the most brilliant sidemen. But some interesting stories. Of course, Woody Shaw on the last one had a tragic ending. Dupree Bolton, the trumpet player on this one, basically spent his whole life incarcerated and came out for 2 or 3 albums, one with Curtis Amy and this one with Harold Land. Just tragic. He ran away from home at 14 to become a jazz musician against his parents' wishes, and got into heroin, of course, that old chestnut, and that was the end of it. But it's not just Dupree Bolton, it's also Elmo Hope, a wonderful piano player. Yeah, I'm hoping Elmo Hope gets his own releases soon, if he's ever done any, I'm not sure, but he's fantastic. Here are the photographs. There's Harold with Dupree Bolton, Herbie Lewis on bass on the left, then Frank Butler drums, And there's Elmo Hope, just a wonderful player and also a very good composer. Harold Land wrote 2 charts, and then Elmo Hope wrote the rest. And it starts off The Fox by Harold Land, just takes off at a hell of a lick. And the technique and the playing is amazing. And Dupree Bolton is doing unison heads with him. And literally, he keeps up for the most part. Sometimes the recording and the remastering is so good by Bernie Grunman that you actually hear Dupree suffering a little bit. But so much energy, it doesn't detract from the playing at all. But then Elmo comes in with his charts. Sims Aplenty, amazing chart. So yeah, and of course the soloing by Harold Land is fantastic. Beautiful tone, like the other 2 tenor sax players. Great tone, focus, flawless intonation. Very, very highly recommended. I really enjoyed these 3 records. And here's the contemporary label. It's very dark green, beautiful. Love it. These labels, they get exactly right. These great companies that are doing these reissues. I know there's more I need to know about, for example, Charles Lloyd, and I should get into Sonny Rollins a little bit more. I love Coltrane. I've got Olé coming from Coltrane, as I mentioned, for review. And the Stan Getz Impex one step of Getz Gilberto is a magnificent achievement from the Impex team. You should get that record. But I wanted to talk to you today about something different in a different location, a different vibe, about these 3 tenor players that I did not know. There's lots and lots and lots I need to learn about jazz. I love it. Like I said, my dad was a jazz musician. He was very critical of my jazz, not so much knowledge, but my jazz musicianship as a classical musician. I remember him listening to me conduct some summer school jazz band one time. And I said, "Hey, Dad, how am I doing? What's going on?" He said, "Anthony, it'll swing if you stop conducting like the London Philharmonic Orchestra." I cleaned it up because he said a bad word. I thought that was a really funny and very apt criticism. Anyway, there you go. Some jazz today, Tenor Madness. I'm in love with these 3 records. I love these 3 tenor players. They're brilliant in everything they do, their tone, their ballad playing, their driving energy, and their solos. Highly recommended. Buy all 3 if you can. I know things are expensive. I think they're about $40 each probably. But and the street date for the Fox is April 9th. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out today with me, doing a little bit of a jazz thing. I really appreciate your support. Please keep liking and subscribing and commenting. And we'll see you in the next video.